pick your brain and dive deeper into your story.
Life was beautiful, butterflies. Where is it going to run? It's going to manifest somewhere in your body, right? Just to feel rested, just to be at peace. This is all the chase about.
Anything that happens, I'm going to fix this.
How would you describe your life now in 3 words?
R.I.P. Yes.
Welcome to my podcast, Mindset to Milestones. I'm your host, Nia, and I'm so thrilled to have you join us. This podcast is all about sharing real, powerful stories of incredible individuals who have transformed their pain to power. So the goal of this podcast is to inspire, educate, and encourage each and every one of you to take action in your life by just listening to these stories. So grab a cup of coffee and get comfortable, and let's dive into these amazing stories. The whole point is to grow and conquer our milestones one step at a time. What would you do if you truly hit rock bottom? To the point you had to commit suicide not once, but twice, and live to tell the story. On this episode, we have a guest. She is a clinical hypnotherapist, numerologist, graphologist, and a sea science consultant. And she will be taking us on a journey from her rock bottom to redemption. This is the story of Sheetal Ahuja. Hi, Sheetal.
Hi, Nia.
Thank you so much for joining me here today for this.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. My pleasure to see you. And I'll begin by saying this, that yes, I have manifested you today. Definitely, for sure.
How sweet of you. See, I know that when I listened to your story, there were so many things that fascinated me and that really, in some way, I found very, very inspirational. And that's exactly what I wanted to touch base on, because I think when it comes to life, relationships, career, family, these are the key elements that can either enhance the quality of your life or completely turn it upside down. And I feel like you have in some way managed to crack the code, and that's exactly what I wanted to touch base on.
Sure, I'll say what I have very honestly, very openly, and if anything I could contribute, why not?
So you mentioned that growing up you would watch Shah Rukh Khan's movies and have this idea of what love should be like, what marriage should be like.
Right.
When did it all change for you?
There was no one point when it all changed. I think in India, most of the girls basically that grew up, especially in the 90s, they could relate. We all grew up with this idea of there's an idea that is sold off to us through cinema, through some perceptions of stories. And I bought that idea as well, not knowing that there's a reality check to this idea as well and how things come along with it. So there was no one point in time where I saw that all of this is not true. But I think it was a journey through my first marriage, breaking up, and then further. So instead of that idea, I would say there was more to explore towards me, because I was the one who was reflecting my realities. So it's still breaking up, I'd say. It's a journey. As you go on, you see that moment by moment, you get over the idea of the fanciness, and slowly you get into it that whatever I am, in whichever area I respect myself, I am getting the respect outside.
Right.
If whichever area I'm able to stand for myself, that is where, situations are nicer.
And that was a journey.
It's a whole journey. There's no point.
It was a learning that you had as you were going through it.
Exactly. Right? Through it, like all the years now when I see today, all of that has contributed. And there was no single point. I think there will still be. I'm still learning. There are a lot of things that we experience every day about ourselves. And like, okay, this is another moment of realization that we have mostly every day.
There's one thing that I always say, that until and unless you go through shit, like you will not have that urgency to find a way out.
Yes.
Right? Like until you are at rock bottom,
Yes.
you're like, okay, you can't go down any further. The
Exactly.
only way is up, right?
Yes.
I want to know more about that rock bottom.
Okay, so there are a couple of them. So I've lived a suppressed childhood, not because someone has asked me or someone's pressurizing me to, live it that way. My parents were decent enough. They had a government job, like decent. But yeah, I mean, general social restrictions and parental expectation that we all grew up with.
Right.
So kind of in a way, I've lived a suppressed childhood where anyway, I'm quite an introvert person, not able to express. This is how I grew up.
Yeah.
I'm not the way I am right now. I was not like that. So that contributed completely, but there was still no breakdown point at that moment because I didn't knew there's something else exists.
Yeah.
I thought this is how it is. This is how life is until I was 25. I got married, about 26 or so. That's when, the reality started shifting and I started questioning myself that there's definitely majorly something wrong. Oh, even before that. So I was in school in 10th grade. There was an incident that happened and okay, I'll share it anyway. So we were living it's a small apartment, studio, and there were villas facing our apartments. So there was a guy who liked me then, which I have no idea about. He came in, he must have seen, my parents have went out, they were both working. He came in the apartment just to, speak to me. He wanted to express his feeling. And I was at 10 and I was just at shock the moment he entered. I was like, oh shit, I got scared and I just, locked the door. One of the neighbors saw this and she perceived it. Now imagine the situation, what is it? But she perceived it as if I'm calling somebody in. She locked the door from the outside.
Oh my God.
And she called my parents.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she did call my parents. She made the situation, which was nothing, to something that turned out so horrible, very shameful for my father. It's like, how could my daughter do that? I mean, the daughter hasn't done anything.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it was just one person's perception. That is the day I realized what does a perception mean to somebody. One perception. Instead of, investigating, interrogating before making a nuisance out of it. And this all happened within like 5 minutes without even me processing it. So, and that very moment was my first breakdown and I did committed suicide. Whatever I had, I did. And I fainted off because I could not process as a child. I don't know what to do this. How is it? Anyways, I was a very inexpressive
You
child.
were 15 years old?
I was in 10th grade, so you can...
14, 15
yeah,
years
somewhere that age.
Wow.
So imagine the kind of things that coming from somebody else where anyways I'm an inexpressive child. I've never...
What was going through your mind in that moment?
I was like, shit, this is not me. I mean, what will happen? What will my dad say? I was ashamed that what will the society now perceive of me? At that time, I didn't have the wisdom to see that, no, it's not my fault. No one told me how to speak.
It was absolute self-blame.
It was completely self-blame and not more than self-blame. It was more of the pressure that how I'm gonna, live through now.
Yeah.
It was just exaggerated situation in my head. So anyways, all of this 10-15 minutes of episode, I did what I did. And then I woke up the next day or 2 days, I don't know how. I woke up in the hospital. That's what I remember. So for sure, my parents would have come or whatever has to happen and happened. So in fact, I exaggerated the situation even further by taking this step. So there was a contribution after contribution, right? Even though it was out of a stress, but I have to accept
it just
was
kept
a
getting
contribution.
worse and worse.
For making it worse, I had this contribution, but I was not aware.
Yeah.
That moment when I woke up in the hospital, that was my first moment when I saw that everyone is talking around me, and I'm just closing my eyes. I closed my eyes. I didn't pretend that I am up now, because I was scared still. I remember, I'm up. I just see my father, other people, some other family members, some hospital staff talking about the incident, but no one's mentioning why she did what she did.
Yeah.
So I was probably hoping that someone will ask so that, I could say what happened, what's the reality.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get a chance to speak up if someone will ask.
Yeah.
So, I'll just find my clue that, this is a person who will ask me clearly. So no one asked, being very honest. No one asked me this. It was just about the situation. This happened, all of the, the effects. No, this is a shameful event and all of that stuff was happening. But no one asked me. I got up, and even after I got up, no one asked me that, what went through you that you took this big step. Was it big enough?
And that's all you want.
All I wanted is no one asked me anything. So I went even quieter, like literally zipped up, like, you just suck everything that you have. So that happened again. So that was my moment, and that like literally stayed with me for years and years, even till today, when I realized that no one basically doesn't care. Everyone is just, bothered about how it's looking to them. That's the moment probably I started asking everybody. My first expression is, whenever I met somebody after that, I always asked, like, what happened? Why are you behaving this way? So that was a turning around point for me when I started asking everything. Every time something happened, it's like, what happened? What happened? So I've always asked, but it was never an expression for me, because no one asked me. And I will not say, if someone will ask me, I'm not going to say, knock on your door and say, this has happened with me. No, I'm not going to say that.
Wow.
So that was one point. But I think I was still very naive to understand things. I went on with that pressure, said sorry and all. My mother did understood. She was more sensitive. But we never spoke about this in very detail. And I had her support. And my sister was very supportive. She was very young at that time, but she knew this something is happening. So fast forward, got married. Many things happened, but just that moment, as you asked. Another time, now because the fancy world has started, that you grew up with some sort of thoughts, kind of a relationship you want to have. And then when the reality hits, and it's a love marriage, you have a lot of expectations.
So you knew this person, you got to know him.
Yes, I knew him. He was a very gentle person. He still is. I have nothing against, even right now. He still was. But then there is a difference. Again, I think both of us were not prepared for it.
Yeah.
It was not me. It was him as well. Me living a suppressed life completely. Him coming out. He was fully insecure person. I was fully suppressed person. So you can imagine an insecure person and a suppressed person. What kind of beautiful combination they will create. And we did that. We did that, super best. So second moment that happened, because he was so insecure for his family, for his finance, for his own things. He has his own issues.
Yeah.
I remember once completely, again, for me, suppression was like everything. It was always there. I remember attempting this suicide once again. It was about after a year of my marriage.
But to get to the point where you think killing yourself or ending it all is the best solution or is the most appropriate solution, I want to know, what does it take to get to that point for you? It may be different for so many people, but what was it for you that made you feel like, you know what, it's better to die than to keep going forward?
It was helplessness completely, that no matter what I do, because in terms of actions, I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
Right? There's whatever I know, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
Like the basic things. It's you got to behave nicely, you got to dress nicely, you got to cook nicely, you got to do this, the checkbox that we grew up with, or the perception that we see of a perfect girl as we grew up with. So as per me, even though I'm failing, but as per me, I was ticking up all those checkboxes. And then when I'm asking, because I told you, like, the first incident gave me the wisdom that you should ask every time. So when I'm asking my ex-husband or anybody, there are no answers that are coming in. So it was a silos, as if I'm doing everything in silos. Like, I don't have any communication from the other side, and I've made this many, many times very clear that all I need in my life is just a communication. We could sail through anything. Worst, goods, there will be ups and downs. So I had that wisdom by then. We need a good communication as to adults.
Yeah.
That is not happening as well. So you're in a room, 10 days and you're not talking, or even if you're talking, everything is normal, talking over the phone and everything, but you're not talking. There's a dead relationship already. So you could feel that this is already dead, right? And then, of course, so A, the relationship is dead. B, both of you are coming with some sort of shit from the past already. So there was nothing. I mean, the food is cooked with what the ingredients you put in. So I had completely wrong ingredients at that time, definitely. And so it just a helplessness that I cannot explain what I'm into, and I have no way out. This was that there is no way out. This is gonna be my life.
Wow.
And I don't want to live the life that I had.
Choice.
Yeah, there was no choice. That's how I felt. There's no choice. And the setup, the life that I was viewing at that time, I thought this is going to be the same life I will have always. So there's nothing going to change. I had zero hope of changing anything. I had zero hope of having any other choice. And I was, of course, helpless. So all of these things was a block for me that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else is going to happen. Now I'm married. It's closed and dusted. I cannot do anything. This is the conditioning I'm telling you. This is how it was. So that took me to another step that, it's better to die than to live this life.
So you took that step.
I took that step again. Yes.
But now my second question is, how do you find the courage to do so? Because it's your natural instinct to find a way to protect yourself. So let's say if you try to hold your breath underwater, your natural instinct to keep yourself alive will come out. But when it comes to suicide, how did you find the courage, or more than courage, just the willpower to just...
No, that was a better option for me. What's the willpower? If there's something better on the table, you got to pick that. There's no need to have the courage, because what you have is horrible.
Did you ever regret it?
By committing suicide? Yes, for sure. I'm glad nothing happened. I'm so happy. Thank God nothing happened.
In the moment?
In the moment, no. I regret it after I woke up. But again, so when the second time happened, the first instant when this happened, when people were talking about it, no one asked me anything.
Yeah.
The second time when it happened, I was sleeping for many hours. And when I woke up, I asked my husband, I was dizzy and wanted to go for the washroom, and I realized that, okay, nothing happened. I'm back to the same shit. But my husband was right in front of me, sitting somewhere in the next room. I was you didn't wake me up? What time is it? He said, I thought you were sleeping. And who sleeps for these many hours?
Yeah.
And I was still dozing off.
Yeah.
He could see probably. And I just went to the bathroom and just could not process this one sentence that he said, I thought you were sleeping. I said, for everything that I do at home, people know that usually, this is not the sleep time, or this time she has to cook, or, this is her activity.
Yeah.
Everything is stopped. No one, you or anyone who's living in the family, bothered to ask what happened. She's sleeping for so long. Instead, it was given to me as a favor that, we let you sleep. We thought you were sleeping. So I didn't need any answer after that. It's because one sentence can show you how much you care about the other person.
Yeah.
Or what happened, So there was no answer needed. I didn't ask anything. My husband didn't even knew about it by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know, later on I've expressed sometime, but at that moment he didn't knew what happened. Or if he knew, he ignored, I don't know. But we didn't said anything to each other. I just went to the bathroom, stopped it. That's it. But again, I processed this is fuck. What am I doing? What am I doing to myself? That was the time of realization for me that there's either I'm 100% wrong, or even if I'm a little bit right, but there's something not figuring out. And even if I die, it does not matter, right? Life goes on. So that was the period for me. I think that was only for that Sheetal, even if you die, nothing's going to happen. Then why you're living like this?
You might as well do something.
You might as well do something, and just anyways you're going to die, right? This option is always available. So just
I can't die.
Yeah, that was the point. And I remember myself standing up in the mirror the next day and just letting myself out, looking at myself that, who the hell you're spending life for? I mean, this is the second time you want to keep doing this all over again, like another year, or anyways, you're dead, right? So what happened? This is the funny conversation that's happening in my head, and I'm smiling and I'm going, this was alone. I was in my mirror and I was like asking myself, what if I've been dead, how they will continue? It's like continue as normal. So we'll let them continue as normal anyway. I'm dead, right? So imagine if I've dead last night, what happened? So that's the perception I've like completely, I held on to it. I was like, let us live as if I'm dead. What will I do?
Yeah.
And that day onwards, I started making all the choices as if I'm dead. I'm just doing it for myself. If someone is bothered, there was nothing to resolve the situation. Yeah. But I had completely different perception that anyway, I'm dead. What's going to do? If I'm dead, what will you do? You will still eat, right?
That is so powerful.
Yeah. If I'm dead, I'm going to do it as if I'm a zombie, anyways, I'm dead. No one bothered about last 24 hours. So nothing happened. So let's live it that way. And so if I'm dead, even if I'm crying, let's say this is another life, I'm looking at a parallel reality. That's how I looked at that. It's a parallel reality. In one life, I'm dead. This is another life where no one knows me and no one have me. So even if I cry, I have to pick up myself. Why do I expect from somebody else that because I'm dead?
Yeah.
So this is something that I held on to it for a very long time.
Yeah.
That how am I going to live if I am dead?
Yeah.
So that gave me a lot of emotional power, a lot of strength, I'd say, because every time I'm fearful of doing something, it's like, anyways, I'm dead, right? So let's just do it and just don't care. Even if you feel something, I'm feeling, oh, I shouldn't do this, it's whatever. But it was just it's like, let's just do it. Let's see how.
And how did you see your life shift since then? What have you done since then? What did you stop doing and what did you start?
I stopped listening to people. That was the first thing I did. I accepted.
And why was that the go-to?
Because that's what I was doing the whole life. I didn't know who I am. Maybe things that people were saying, maybe it's right or maybe it's wrong. But I don't know what's my experiences. I was just going by the rules, whatever I was taught. So the first thing I did was like slowly, and now not all of it, but slowly and gradually at every moment that came in. And if there was a need to, stand up, like those two suicidal points became my strength that I am dead, so I can do whatever I want, right? I'm dead anyway. So I did at every moment, and then I started choosing doing things which I was not doing before. Like I started taking the opposite decisions because I wanted to see the other side. I wanted to explore what will happen if I don't do what I'm usually doing. Like what will happen if I go on a trip? What will happen if I do not cook for a day? Small things. What will happen if I, sleep 2 hours extra? I want to see what's the reactions are.
And did you get any reactions since?
Yeah, I did. But then I was like, I saw them change completely because till the time I'm adjusting to the situations, if I'm not saying anything, if I'm not raising my voice, if I'm doing things, then it's fine. But if I'm taking those steps, it's like, no, I want to give some comfort to myself. Okay, I'm not cooking today. This is for me. Let's see what happens. Are people not eating food? What happens? Nothing. Life goes on. So those small things. Okay, I want to read today extra. What happens if I give myself some time? I did that. Even with the work life at the office, it's like, what if I take a day off?
Yeah.
What will happen? Nothing happens. So I did small little things. What if I spend 1,000 rupees extra on me and not save it? Because before, so I was just breaking down everything basically that I've done.
Wow.
What if I don't go to, let's say, meet my father for a weekend? Because I feel
started
responsible.
Becoming an experiment.
It was an experiment, or you could say that it was not intentional, but I just wanted to see what happens.
Yeah.
What happens? So that was the thing. And I kept doing things that, what happens if I do this? So that kind of became my second nature. Because when I got, after doing 10, 15, 20 things, I don't know, over the time, I saw nothing happen anyway.
Yeah.
So then another time I realized, if nothing happens, then why the hell am I stopping myself? Nothing happens. It was just my fear that was taking over me, that I'm fearful of, that if I do this, this will happen. It was all in my head.
There's a very good book that you remind me that reminds me when I sorry English. There's a book that I just thought of right now. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I kept moving on, and I did. Even today, if there's something I was like, okay, I know there's a fear, but
Let's just do it.
let's just do it. What will happen? Anyways, I'm not going to do it. So while saying it is different, but
Yeah.
like literally experiencing it and making it out of your wisdom is different.
And was this how you made the decision to get out of the marriage, or
Yes. So by that time, I started reading a lot of books and everything. I started getting validation for the very first time in my life that what I am thinking is somewhere correct. 25 years of my life, no one related with, no one validated me.
Yeah.
So the book started giving me validations that there is something, it's correct. I'm moving. So they become like literally my support, thanks to all the authors or who have written, I've read through. So they became as if I make them live in my, in my life, even though I've never met them, but they were kind of existing for me because if there's something I'm reading, I'm getting, if they could do it, they have written it. So that means it's a reality. So that's how I moved through it. And I I took a decision that I want a divorce, where I was super fearful. I don't want to continue with this marriage. And there was not only this, there was another incident that came up. It's a funny story. You might want to just... Have you watched the movie Andaz?
No, I have not.
Okay. It's a movie where they do a wife swapping.
Okay.
It's
okay.
I forgot the name. It's Priyanka Chopra, Akshay Kumar, Kareena Kapoor. So
Oh no, I don't.
it's a some swapping thing. So my husband, very close friend who introduced me to him, I used to work with him.
Yeah.
I had this feeling that he's just kind of like me in this way, or like, but no, I was like, no, it's not possible. He's his friend and he's my friend. It's possible. He's married. One day, so things are already bad with my husband. We are like fighting every day. One day, I happened to go to him just to talk to him, or some situation was there. And he gave me a clear hint that my husband is super best friend with his wife.
Yeah.
How about he become that for me? And I was like, what the hell you're saying? What do you mean?
He suggested this.
He said, my wife is, like my husband's name was whatever. He said, he's, you can see the friendship was like, so that gave me a very negative, drowning down vibe, and I left. And then we had a fight, and I spoke to my husband. I expressed him like, this is what he hinted me. Do you have any relationship with the girl? Just tell me, and that's it. Do you have any relationship with your best friend? Because you talk to her every day, and her husband said this, and this is. So I'm just very confused. Please help me out. He didn't answer me anything. He in fact blamed me out of it. It's like, you are doing this. I was like, what am I? What am I doing? Like, you are trying to break our friendship. I was like, fuck you. Like, I even have a chat, Niya. I've saved that chat when he, it happened over the chat. I saved that chat for a long time that I want to show you. But, my husband was so insecure, as I said, from his side. Now I can see it. At that time, I didn't know it was out of his insecurities. So, nothing wrong against him at this moment. But now I can see there was so much of insecurity. And so he was reflecting, he was suppressing me. All the situations were suppressing me because I was suppressed throughout. And I was bringing out his insecurities because he was insecure throughout his life.
Wow.
So we were just, giving each other exactly the same thing that we already had. So it's not his fault that he was suppressing me. I was a walking, talking, suppressed person. So what else? He was giving me the same thing. So imagine he didn't even listen to this, and in fact, it turned out opposite. So I got even further suppressed. So it was like everything's just coming back to you and you and you. It was just you. Until and unless, so I didn't have the knowledge or things that we are practicing now back then. It was just straight out of, the issues that were happening. Is I took a stand that I'm leaving. This is not working. It's okay. I'm dead anyway. I'll see rather what happens when I live alone. I'll see anyway.
Yeah.
So that's when I took a step out. It's like, I'm going to sign the papers. These are the things. So we just closed off very peacefully. He agreed. I agreed. So there were some issues, but anyways, we just parted our ways.
Wow.
After that, I took some time, but we did.
So in all of that, what was your observation about your own femininity, masculinity throughout this journey?
Completely hijacked. There was no femininity, I think. It was completely hijacked. That's when your survival mode triggers.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
Your survival mode triggers. I didn't even knew the definition of feminine at that moment. But now I see it's completely hijacked. The survival modes were triggered. Where am I going to live? So I have to earn now. Before that, everything was taken care either with my father or even if I was with my husband, at least the household things were taken care, if not others. So suddenly things are on you. At 28, I just called off everything. But by the time I've started reading about these things, I've started studying. So at 28 is where I picked up another dream, which I always wanted to be a psychologist.
Wow.
Always. This was like, since I'm born, I think this was the only thing I could see at the back of my mind, because I was never able to relate to somebody because I thought, there's something that I this is not correct. This is not how you do it. So at 28, I started picking up my studies again, and I moved out, and there was another journey from there where you see that everything that was happening was not because of other person. At least this point, you could say that my husband did this, or this situation happened. It's like you're moving out of the victim zone. We call it as a drama triangle.
Yeah.
By this time, you know that your situation or life played with you, even though you still have that. Even though you're courageous, you still know that life did something wrong with you, and you are coping up with it. So still, there is a zone of victimizing, not owning. Even though you think I'm owning it, but it's not owning it.
And that's what I love about healing. People think it's about, being emotionally stable, being emotionally, fine, but that's not the point.
That's not the truth.
It's purely about taking accountability and coming into full acceptance of the situation.
And it's very difficult.
Yeah.
By 28, when I think that everything is great, I took my responsibility and I'm out of it, and I'm now reading and studying, taking up my passion again. And boom, the more you study, the more you go into it, you realize, oh my God, it was me. So this is the real responsibility. Now you take it.
Because now you have
more control, and you see that whatever was happening was not anybody's fault. At least by 28, I could say, it was my husband's fault, it was his fault or that fault.
And
then you couldn't see anything. Your barriers or whatever you've collected, it's completely shattered, and you see yourself like nude in the mirror. Not physically like nude, like emotionally nude.
Completely naked.
Completely naked, yeah. That this is emotionally naked thing. This is the person who was carrying all of this. Forget the situation. Forget whether it was because of family, parents, friends.
It's very easy to find, and probably there were things that was his mistake or her mistake or whatever.
I was equal contributor. I had to accept it. I was not aware, and being unaware is the biggest problem these days. If any part of the life, if I'm not aware, I'm going to screw up. Even today. So I was not aware. And now I realize the importance of being aware. The more you're aware about yourself, you see equally the other person. That just because the way I'm not aware about myself, the other person is also not aware about himself. So why to be harsh on? Who to look for? Who to blame for? Was that my husband who was creating this problem?
Yeah.
It was like, he was just contributing maybe, but I was playing the equal role. And now, after when I had clients, so now I'm talking fast forward now, last couple of years after I moved to Dubai, universe has some messages, definitely just plays around. I've got some male clients with some sort of issues, which gave me even more perspective that, oh boy, you need help. You need more help than I needed, So this came internally for my husband, for my ex-husband, I'd say.
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy, you definitely needed some help.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing about it. And, I'm thankful that I got the help in certain ways, at least.
Yeah.
And I now own my responsibilities that, yes, we were both into that drama triangle, as we say.
Yeah.
So whether it's a victim, victimizer, or rescuer, we're just playing that role one way or the other. And that's when you pull out. And I think after 30s, I'd say that's when the real realizations or acceptance of my husband's behavior, not acceptance, like that, okay, this is how it was. With love, with loving closure that I'll get. I didn't get a closure with him, but within myself.
Yeah.
Like that was a loving closure that I got, that he had his own dramas playing on. I had my own. So no one is responsible for each other. Just like I am not responsible, he's not responsible for my drama, I'm not responsible for his. So I got to let go.
So that's what you needed after that breakup. So that's what you would say anyone would need right after a breakup. That kind of loving closure for yourself.
For yourself, not for others. I mean, I never got a closure from my husband. I think those are something that
and you might never, and it's not in their control. So
it's not. I cannot. But to know, and that this is owning. I think the ownership.
Yeah.
To own your fears, your insecurities, your issues. This is the ownership that we have to take. Being a female or a male.
Right.
And when that ownership came very deep in me, that this is me, and what do I do now? So there's stages of evolution. So I think that was one of the stage that it's me.
Now I want to ask you, so knowing this and your experience with your husband, how do you, I'm sure you probably reflected on this and thought about, okay, why am I the way I am? And in some way thought about, okay, I got this from my mom or my dad. What's your understanding with relation to that?
You mean just from the experience, or how we related it with what we learned further?
Both. I would say let's do with your learning. So it's your learning, right? Your journey. What's your understanding of all of it now? How would you connect the dots?
For me, it's subjective to everyone. But for me, whatever I've gone through is now a positive contribution. It's really a positive contribution, and I'm very grateful for it.
Of course. Yeah.
Because if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be pushing myself towards doing things out of the way to be able to overcome those stupid fears that I had in my mind, or to, learn and grow and make a profession out of it. I didn't plan it.
Yeah.
It just became like this. And today when I have clients, it is not just the knowledge that we learn that comes through, because there is an implementation already from years. So that when it comes along together, so I think we always say that whatever I am, and we were discussing about accomplishments, no accomplishment is there. Reading about something, studying about something, getting a degree is great. Anybody could do that. But for me, the reality comes in that degree that I have, or the knowledge or degree that I'd say papers that I have, the experience is coming from my past. So people who have played a negative role or any sort of role, it's not negative and positive, whatever role, they are actually, complementing my degree now.
Yeah.
So they have contributed to who I am, and I'm very grateful for the incidents that anyone brought in my life.
Yeah.
Or things that even if I've committed suicide, yes, I was very ashamed of accepting this for many years. But now, of course, after we moved into this, I was the first one. Yeah, don't worry. If I can do it, anyone can do it. It's the same thing. There's a rock bottom that you hit, and it's okay to hit your rock bottom as well. Do not be afraid of hitting your rock bottom, because that is lovely. That you have to hit it. Just hit it close it off ASAP and then you move from there.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
We avoid
We
the
avoid
pain,
eating. Exactly.
right? Like that's because it's survival instincts. Right?
Exactly.
We don't want to feel it. But
Yeah.
once you feel it, once you experience it,
There's nothing beyond.
you're just building your tolerance.
Yeah, you built it, you know this is rock bottom, and then from the road is now, you've done it here, and now the road is definitely up. It's not gonna, you've hit it, you've done your rock bottom already. What else?
Wow. So you mentioned that as a byproduct of this, you wanted to do psychology and you dwelled in so many different modalities. So there is numerology, there is hypnotherapy, there is tasso, and so many. And these are different ways or pathways in just understanding the human mind,
Yes.
right? And with that, you mentioned something very interesting, which is you called it rest in peace.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah. So I tell this to my clients or anybody I know. It's like,
And like
R.I.P. R.I.P.
And knowing your story,
Yeah.
it fits in so well.
Perfectly. Yeah, so R.I.P. We always, Instagram and social media has made it popular. Anyone dies like R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yeah.
This is doing nothing, it's just words. That's it. So I was looking at, I always laugh about this. I mean, not being insensitive to what happened, but I laugh about the way people are, the condolences has become so short, like R.I.P. That's it, done and dusted. As if you've done your duty, you written R.I.P. and then done. So I was just thinking one day, I was like, why people just say R.I.P. after you live? What does it mean? It's like rest in peace. It's like, do I not want to rest in peace while I'm living? Or just who knows what happens after? Definitely you gotta rest in peace there. And then I was like, if I'm resting in peace while I'm living, I'm gonna be rest in peace after I die anyway. It was kind of an equal situation for me. And I was like, wow, and rest. What is rest? Right? What is rest for me? So it's like, no, this is what I want to say. I don't want to tell people R.I.P. after they die. I want to tell people R.I.P. to you while you live.
Yeah.
Rest in peace while you live. And when I say rest, and this time, the lot of modalities that we have learned, it was all coming together as a final product. And it's like, rest, what do you mean by rest? So what is rest to me? So I said rest is rapid, evolved self-transformation. When you do that,
Rapid
evolve
evolves.
self-transformation.
That's beautiful.
When you are evolving rapidly and you're committed to your self-transformation, you are bound to be at peace no matter whatever situation is outside. I'm getting goosebumps while I'm saying this. It's coming literally from my heart. So it's like, yeah, this is like summing up everything that I have. R.I.P. to you, And some people's like, R.I.P. is like, no, not that R.I.P. I mean, rest in peace while you live. Let's get that. And this is what I'm working towards. You and me and so many people are working towards this. Just rest in peace now.
Wow.
There's so much chaos happening every day. So many things, so many emotions, so many, ups and downs, and every day we go through. And then for what?
Yeah.
Just to feel rested, just to be at peace. This is all the chase about. So yeah, I don't want to live. I don't care if people come after my death and say R.I.P. I want to say to myself every day, R.I.P. Sheetal.
Wow.
Just rest in peace today, and it's all great. And then, and when I say rest, as I said, just evolve within yourself every moment.
I love that.
And work towards it. So that's rest for me.
So tell me, Sheetal, how would you describe the quality of your life, your state of mind, and where you are in life right now in 3 words?
R.I.P. Yes. No, I'm socially socially I might not have as what we're supposed to have, maybe. But it's a very different and unusual life that I've shaped up for myself. People can question about it still, they do. But I'm absolutely okay with this shaped life because this is my shape. this is the shape of my life. So I'm actually not saying that there is nothing to evolve anymore. I've done everything in my life. No, it's a process. I'm going to keep changing that shape of my life slowly and gradually as much as I can. But with whatever I have, so it's like you got to integrate your darkness and your goodness together. So I'm okay with these two together, and then still evolve through. So I don't think I would change anything at this moment with what I have or what I have done. I'm actually at peace. And then also I know that there are few things that I have to, evolve in myself or change, which I will continue always. So I'm okay with whatever I have. That's it.
So
Maybe.
if you could share one advice for those who are struggling with self-acceptance, so that the dark and the light that you talked about, and for those who are in a marriage or a relationship that they find hard to get out of, or they are struggling with, or they are very uncertain about on what to do, what would you say?
Instead of giving the knowledge advice, I think the first thing in terms of marriage or relationship, anybody, whether it's a man or a woman, they have to first figure out the finance. It's not about nothing against any emotions or things, but that's practical. A man and a woman both have to figure out, before taking a step, what's going to be the financial impact. If a woman, which most of the cases is women who's not working, men still figure out something, they're mostly not doing something. So men are still excluded from this situation. Not all. There are men who have struggled. I have had clients, so I cannot exclude men also. For women, it's most common. So I think the first thing, figure out your finance. Have a plan further. Because even no matter what courageous steps you take, you need a backup. Do you have a family backup? Do you have your own self backup? Do you have someone? If nothing, do you have someone to rely on to? Whether it's your father, whether your mother, someone who will, either you can give that space to yourself financially, or is there someone for you to give that space? So think about that first. Because when you wake up, girl, tomorrow morning, or you're out, you got to pay rents, you got to live, you got to eat, you got to go out. So that's first thing, figure out. And then the second thing, once if this is no problem, it's all good, then yes, you have to die for some people to live your life, and you have to accept. Acceptance, again, won't come in a way. I think there's no one technique, Niya, that we can talk about that this will give you an acceptance. No matter what I say, it's still mere words. No matter how I motivate, it'll still be the mere words for somebody who's actually going through it. So when going through it, the acceptance, the closure that you need is first within yourself. If you don't have a closure within yourself, and a closure means closure of the situation within yourself, that if you're out, closure, peaceful closure that we just spoke, like instead of having a loving closure later on, which will, just exaggerate the time, have the closure. So figure out your finance and have the closure within yourself first there. Because if you're not getting the closure then, not necessarily from the other person, but as long as you have that peaceful closure within you. Now, what to do for that peaceful closure could be to take some help. I would say definitely take help, because taking help from a professional saves years of our life. Years of our life. We could do the same thing in 10 years, and with a professional, we could do the same thing in like 1 month or maybe 10 days. I don't know. So if you are concerned about your life years, definitely take help. But if you're not able to take help, still get a closure from within yourself in some ways. That will help you move further and accept. Once you get a closure, you then accept, this is how it is. I'm not going to change anything out of it. What is it that I'm going to change in myself? That's where the journey begins, that now I'm going to change myself and not anybody else. So I got a closure, and now I want to change myself. So moving towards the other direction without being too much affected by. And it will continue, even though you say today that, okay, I got a closure and I'm okay, but now I want to continue and I'll do things for myself. I've had clients who was like, okay, now I'm going to go to the salon by myself. It was like, this is good.
It's not just about doing things.
Good. It's not about doing things. It's an internal closure, emotional closure for yourself. It's not external, just closure internally. accept, and that's when the acceptance come in. And slowly, as you move further, there will be pain or things that will continue, but you will eventually get over it. It's not a one-day thing. That's what I'll say.
This was quite a story. It really, really was. I just taking me through the way you think and your thought process and how much you've grown since to where you're now. I think it's been quite a journey for you.
It is. It's ongoing, and I'm loving the process now.
What would you say you're looking forward to the most now?
Now, nothing as such, nothing looking forward to, because again, I think it's a slightly different perspective, probably. I am not, if I'm looking forward to something, I'm going to probably, I want to achieve that. So I don't want to look forward to anything. I want to live with the flow. That works out for me. And I want to take it as it comes.
Right.
And I want to keep myself open, because if I'm looking forward to something, there's a restriction that, I want to achieve this, I want to do that. Yeah. No, instead, I want to just keep myself open to the process of life, and whatever comes in, I'm going to just take it.
Yeah.
And not necessarily what I'm doing today, I'm going to do tomorrow. Now, there's no hard line that I have. I have no plans as such. For sure, I'm committed to the day. I'm committed. I plan every day. I have certain visions, like what am I going to do in next couple of weeks or months, but nothing as such as a major, hard line that I'm going to do this or that. Like nothing. I'm just going to live easy. Whatever I'm going to do in life, it has to be easy.
Well,
and peaceful. Anything which is not coming effortlessly is not mine.
right.
And that's it. That's the thing that I live to. It has to come effortlessly. And that doesn't mean I stop taking actions. People can take it in a wrong way.
Yeah.
Effortlessly, you mean, you know what I mean? That, there's no struggle. There's nothing to achieve.
Because what's meant to be yours.
It will come, yeah. So it has to be effortless in your life, whether it's your work, whether it's personal, whether every day or small little things.
Yeah.
It has to be an effortless connection to have to
Like
to
you
grow
would
it.
be able to find the resources to get it done.
Yeah,
as
exactly. It has to be an easy way. I don't want to chase or have no targets in life. Nothing. I love the way it is now, and I'm sure it's going to improve. Always.
Thank you so much, Sheetal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story. I truly believe it's such an inspirational journey that I'm sure a lot of people would have a lot to take away from. So
Hopefully.
So I'm wishing you all the best. And before we end, is there any way people can find you, get in touch with you if needed? Where can people find you?
I'm not a very Instagram person, but yeah, I'm still on Instagram. It's with neuropathway.world. And the same website also exists. So yeah, anyone can reach out. And for more details of things that we practice, about numerology, as I said, about clinical hypnosis that you also do, graphology, and sea science, which is the most interesting area as well. So all of this, all the details are available, and we can always get in touch.
So thank you so much for joining and wishing you such a lovely day.
Thank you, Niya. It was lovely meeting you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.